Be right there, folks. Everybody, get things organized. Not a whole lot of changes on the 8 o'clock, but I do have a lot more to talk about tonight. Tropical storm Dorian is getting so hard to predict, and I'll go into that in a little bit. We'll get some more viewers on here, but I'm going to discuss some of the things. Hey, Maureen, Jane, Doc, Southpaw. Okay, that's the only ones I see in the chat right now. But we're going to talk about some of the things that are good for this storm and things that are bad. And it's going to cover things like fuel, size, dry air, land, water temp, and 3-hour updates. Volume, can you hear me okay? I haven't really changed any of my volumes. Let me turn the NASCAR truck race off. I didn't change anything. I haven't changed a thing. But yeah, the water temp, the land. We'll discuss the recons. There's been one recon completed, and there's 2 more, and we'll go into that. Also, now we're on 3-hour updates. So the cone that I'm going to show you tonight, hey Michelle, it is from the 5 o'clock, and I won't get a new cone update till 11 o'clock tonight. But things, I tell you what, man, it's looking pretty good in some ways not for it hitting Florida. So I'm showing 16 people. I was hoping for a few more. Looks like I might have one on YouTube and 15 on Twitch. Hey, Raven. So let's go ahead and, as you can see over my shoulder, this is the current infrared. And that's right over, if you can see my pointer, this is right over Barbados. So Barbados is getting hammered by the main core. Hey, Big D. Yeah, I got your message last night, Big D, that you missed last night, but you went and watched it, watched the recording. Hey, Beck. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in motion. And let's go ahead and blow this up. Now notice that main core, it does have circulation in it. But notice all the storms that's over on the right side. That's because of some shear. But this thing is so small that for a tropical storm, it's really small. And because of that, it's able to hold its own pretty good. And it keeps blowing up. Excuse me. It keeps blowing up some really big storms right there at the core. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to back it out a little bit and look at water vapor. This is sad. And this is one of the things on my list to talk about tonight. And I've been talking about it, on all of the broadcasts. Look at all that brown. That's not good. That's dry air. It's totally all the way around this thing. And yet it's still not only holding it its own, but it's getting stronger. And the main thing is this brown out ahead of it. I'll zoom in just a little bit. So it's got to fight that. That's one thing. Now I want to go ahead and switch over on our topics for tonight. These are things that can kill a tropical storm. Lack of fuel. Fuel is the warm waters. It doesn't have that problem. Right now, the water temperatures where it's at is in the 80-degree range. When it gets up closer to Bermuda and that, it's going to be closer to 90. The other thing is wind shear. And you got to remember, with severe storms, like supercells, they like a little bit of that shear. It gets the storm tilted. Tropical storms don't like that. It will kill it. So that's one thing we're going to discuss. Notice where this thing's headed. It's going to be headed right for Puerto Rico and what they call Hispaniola, which is Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And we'll discuss that a little bit more in detail here in a bit. And this dry air is a killer. But what's really cool about this thing is its size. If this was a real big tropical storm, it would have these huge outer bands. And as you can see, it doesn't really have any outer bands. I mean, there's this little one, right in here. But for the most part, it don't have the great big outer bands that we normally see on a tropical storm. Now, the reason why I say that's significant, if it had the big outer bands on it, it would be sucking in this dry air. But notice it's not. There's no clear slot with this small outer band on it. And you can see the brown is really not getting pulled into it. So that's a plus. Its small size at this point is a plus. Now, before I go on, I better, since I got enough people on here now, although it says I got 0. That's not right. But anyway, I'm going to do a disclaimer. Let me switch scenes here. I want everybody to know I'm not a professional. Not a professional meteorologist. I do this as a hobby. I don't get paid for it, sadly. I do get a lot of my information from multiple sources, including National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center. I use all the models and everything. I do get a lot of information from the Weather Channel. Now, I know some people may not like the Weather Channel, but I rely on some professionals like Dr. Rick Knabb and Dr. Greg Postel for tropical weather. I used to really rely on Dr. Greg Forbes, but I have not seen him post since back in April. And I haven't gotten any email from him either, so I don't know what's going on. I hope he's all right. So anyway, now that I've got that disclaimer, some of the things for some of you people that does watch the Weather Channel, you'll be, hearing me repeat what they say. So anyway, back to size. Now, the bad thing about a small tropical storm, it can ramp up quickly, but it can also die quickly. It's easily affected by the different things that we're going to discuss tonight, especially land. Large storms can go over land like Puerto Rico and rebound, but smaller storms are easily affected by stuff like that. So that's a downside of a small storm. But this being a small storm, it's more compact. And so it's keeping that dry air from knocking it down. So it's really cool. And it makes it hard to forecast this. So let's go to the National Hurricane Center. And briefly, I'll go ahead and mention 98L, as you see on the ticker at the bottom, is now Tropical Depression 6. And I'll go ahead and show you the cone on that. Now that's a Tropical Depression. Hey, Sean. It's got its own cone. But it's not expected to get any stronger than a tropical storm. And it's going to go up to Nova Scotia. I forgot to switch screens here. So let's blow this up. Okay, there's the cone for what was 98L. So let's get back to Dorian. I want to show you all this forecast cone. Now again, this will be updated at 11 o'clock tonight. The 8 o'clock advisory is just an intermediate advisory. So here's the latest cone from 5 o'clock. And look where that thing is headed. Now, on this, they have it. It's probably hard to see, but it has the letter S on the end of that track. That's for tropical storm. Now they are expecting it to still make a Cat 1 hurricane by the time it gets to Puerto Rico. And I want to go ahead and zoom in. Ah, cut it out. My mouse is going nuts. Must be time for a new battery. Now here, there's an area here, those purple lines, that's actually a hurricane watch. Now this is the Lesser Antilles. So the blue lines is tropical storm warnings. The yellow lines are tropical storm watch. So they've already got watches and warnings out on this thing. And it goes all the way up to all, includes all of the islands there. And notice Puerto Rico has already got tropical storm watch up for the whole island. And I seen video earlier that they are getting prepared. They're gathering, their goods and stuff that they need. Now, so far, the DR, the Dominican Republic, is not showing any watches yet. But it's a ways away yet. Okay? Now, as of the 8 o'clock, it's still a 60 mile per hour tropical storm. It needs to get up to 74 mile per hour in order to be a hurricane. So it's got a little ways to go. But the hurricane hunters are out there. And I wasn't able to get all the dropzone information yet. That'll come out probably at 11 o'clock. So it might be stronger than 60 miles per hour. And they got it going west-northwest instead of west. Remember last night, it was just going west. Now it's going west-northwest. It started to make that turn at 14 miles per hour. Pressure was estimated by satellite earlier today to be 1,002 millibars, and now they're saying it's 1,007. But still, it's not really strong. It's got to get into 900s before it really starts getting strong. Now let's go ahead and we talked about fuel, we talked about size, we talked about the dry air. So let's talk about wind shear. Now as it approaches, and I'll blow this up here, let me stop it and go to the latest. Okay, here's the storm here. I better do this in red. These colors here is wind shear. Now, like I've told you, when we're looking at lines of equal pressure, when there's a circle, that's a low pressure typically. So here we've got a low pressure that's going to form out ahead of this. So we've got this wind shear here that's not real strong. But what this tells me right here, this area right here, is with this low pressure, the winds are going to be going that way. Let me redo that here. Might be easier to see. These winds are going to be going that way on the shear, and they're going to be going that way on that part of the shear. So as it gets up there, close to these islands, there's Puerto Rico, there's the Dominican Republic. As it gets up there, it's got to fight shear. So that's one thing that could impede it. But with the size of it being small, so far, pretty much it's been fighting off the shear. So that I'm not too concerned. Now let's zoom in on this path. Let's talk about land. Okay, Puerto Rico has got some mountains. They're a little over 4,000 feet. So if it goes on the northern side of this cone, it's going to get affected by those mountains. Remember I said that mountains do affect the storm, especially a small storm. Now, if it goes down the center, it's barely going to go over this land. Now, this land right in here is fairly flat. That won't hurt it too much. I mean, land always kills it because it cuts the fuel supply down. The fuel supply being the warm waters. But it's not going to stay over land that long if it stays down that center. But if it tracks over on the left side of this cone, there's some mountains over here that are over 10,000 feet. And what effectively that would do is just undercut the storm. And whether, and this is a good question right now, if it does go over those mountains, once it gets on the other side, up here towards Bermuda and that, or Bahamas, excuse me, will it be able to recover? So it's really going to depend on how it tracks over these islands, and we'll know more tomorrow night into the next day. And let me bring something up. Bring up Google Earth and I'll show you guys. Whoops. Okay, there's the Dominican Republic. You've got two mountain ranges. The eastern one is over 8,000 feet tall. But this one over here is over 10,000 feet. Come on. That's part of the mountain range right there. Hey, thanks for the follow. May be a little hard to tell. It doesn't want to let me tilt for some reason tonight. Here's the major part. That mountain range right there. Come on down. Yeah, it's not going to let me pull it back up in 3D. You can see these mountains here. And like I say, some of these is over 10,000 feet. So that will flat cut off the bottom of the storm. Plus, again, it will kill the fuel because it will spin longer over land if it takes this track here. Now, for us storm chasers, what we want to see this thing, and you can kind of see it on one of these model runs. It's kind of skirt through here. Now, if it does that, it'll just continue to grow. And as it gets further north or northwest, there'll be less wind shear. Any questions so far? I don't know why my one program is telling me I got 0 people watching, but my other one says I got 21. Crazy. There was an update the other day, so I'm not sure how many I got watching on YouTube right now. My chat program, that right there, it tells me at the bottom how many people's watching. So, no. 98L, now Tropical Storm 6. There is the projected track. It's going to go north. Now, the reason why the storms are blowing up here, let me show you about where the low is. I'm going to estimate this. The low's in here somewhere. So the storms are blowing off, and that's because of wind shear. And this thing, it's well offshore, so we don't have to worry about it. But as you can watch these storms over here over land, going northeast, that's part of a cold front. So that's going to affect Tropical Storm 6, formerly 98L. We'll keep it pushed offshore, and there's a low here, but effectively there's a high pressure system out here by Bermuda, and that's driving it north. So it will not go down and merge. It'll be long gone by the time Dorian gets up here. Take another gander at water vapor. Okay, the high hasn't pushed over there yet. Now we still got some more waves coming off Africa. A lot of training and a lot of experience doing this kind of stuff over the years. I've taken a lot of courses online. One of them was actually a college course that I took online. That was a 3-month course in severe weather forecasting and tornado forecasting. So let me try something here. I'm pushing my processor, but I want to try something for you before we go to Recon. I want to show you some visible satellite of Dorian. Southpaw, I'll show you where the recons are here in a little bit. So let's zoom in on Dorian. Now, even though there's no daylight with this website, looking at the Sierra True Color, I can still see the clouds even after dark. Not seeing so much now. What I'm looking for is those overshooting tops that we talked about last night. Let me try to load up a bunch more frames. It'll take a little bit here. We'll get some daylight frames in here, if it'll let me. There we go. Yes, I storm chased. I started in 1981. And my last storm chase was 2 years ago. Because of my disability, I can't get out. Okay, I want to freeze this. See if I can catch the right timing. Boom. Look at this. Look at this overshooting top. And this is right around where the center is. See how ragged looking? This over here is smooth. That's an overshooting top. That's way up there in altitude. And you can see several others that are popping up. And these outer, what's going to be these outer bands. And watch that, how it's just blowing up. And this thing is so small and concentrated that blowing up is helping to keep feeding itself from the warm waters. And it's not letting the dry air into it to kill it. But notice that a lot of the storm is being blown off to the east side. It'll have to reload here because I moved it. Notice a lot of this is blowed off to the east side of it, or to the right. That's because of the wind shear. Hey, Janae. But it's still a real healthy storm. And it's just been getting stronger ever since last night. So it's got the right kind of fuel, the right kind of water temperature, a little shear, not real bad, a lot of dry air, but it's small sized. So, you know, this thing's, it's hard. It's very rare to try to predict something that's got this long of a track that's this small. I won't recommend storm chasing unless you've taken some courses. We have a lot of people out there storm chasing that don't know what they're doing. And all they're doing is putting themselves in danger as well as others by clogging up the road, driving like an idiot. There's so many people out there, hundreds of them, that are out there that don't know what they're doing. They're doing it for the thrill. You need training. I really specify that. You need training. You need to know what you're looking at. You need to know what to do and where to be to get in the safest place of the storm, as well as be able to know road structure for that area so you can get out of there in case you get in a bind. It's just so many things that a person needs to learn. And I would highly recommend going out with a qualified storm chaser or a storm chasing tour. Yeah, you can do online courses. You go to your local National Weather Service. I don't know where you live at. If you're here in the United States, go to your local National Weather Service and find out when they're going to have a course that you can actually go to. It's a lot better than online courses. I've actually done both. I'm actually a certified advanced storm spotter. I've taken all the advanced courses as well as just the regular spotter course. That's the place to start. But if you're going to go out, go with somebody that's done it and is qualified to do it. There you go. Thanks, Becky. There are some places where you could take some online courses. meded.ucar.edu. A lot of my courses came from there. Appreciate it, Becky. I was trying to think of the website and I couldn't think of it. So for Dorian, potentially late weekend, Saturday night into Sunday, we could see the effects in Miami, Florida. But it's all going to depend how this thing tracks over those islands, the wind shear. Let's see, land. It's got plenty of water temperature, so it's got plenty of fuel, as long as it stays away from going directly over an island. And if it grows and gets larger, it will be able to sustain itself a little bit better when it does go over the island. But I really don't think it's going to get a chance to get that much bigger before it hits Puerto Rico. And right now, it looks like Puerto Rico, they're on the northern side of that cone. So if it goes down the center, Puerto Rico is going to get nailed no matter where it goes in that cone. They're going to get high winds and heavy rain. Again, when we're talking about a hurricane, let me show you something here. Images. Okay, this is a hurricane from a couple years ago. Thanks for the follow. Now, what I want to show you, actually, I need to bring it up somewhere else. Hang on. Need to bring it up on another scene so I can tell a straight on it. Okay, this is a hurricane from a couple years ago. Now, you'll hear me talk about the Northeast Quadrant. Now, this particular hurricane was traveling in that direction. So the quadrant that is the strongest would be right there. That's what I would consider the Northeast Quadrant, even though it's going, the storm's northwest, so that puts the quadrant on the north side. That's where your stronger winds, and when it makes landfall, that's where your brief tornadoes will be coming from your stronger storm surge and heavy rains. It's all in that where that blue X is. So let's go ahead and talk recon. Now let's go ahead and show you some of the models. Here's the GFS run. Come on. Which I'm not real confident in GFS, but this is looking pretty good. It's pretty much where the Euro's got it. And I'll show you the Euro. Here's a global ensemble of all the models that they use. Look how close all of them lines, except for a couple. Look how close them are coming up through there. And a lot of these, if you notice, has got it going in between Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. If it does that, it's going to get stronger. Yeah, you can't go by that. Those are weird runs. What you got to really pay attention to is when the ensembles start coming close together. And as you can see here, there's a couple stragglers. You know, there's the TABD that's got it making a left-hand turn going over Cuba. And then the CME2 has got it going up to South Carolina. So I just throw those out. But when all the other runs are starting to make a straight line together, that's when the models are coming together and it gets more serious and that part of the broadcast. Now let's go ahead and real quick look at the forecast model before I get to recon. Look at the icon. Change region. 900 followers. Hot diggity. Thanks, man. I didn't even notice. About time. Man, it's taken me forever. Go ahead and look at this area. Now, up in here, that's Tropical Storm 6. Down here is Dorian. Go through this run. Now this model has got it going right over Puerto Rico. Yeah, 900, man, that's great. Now I need 9,100 more to be where I was hoping to be. But you can see here on this model how much this is tightening up, even after it passes Puerto Rico. This model, which is the icon, does have it going right over Puerto Rico. And notice how it kind of meanders around. And I've seen this even on the Euro earlier. Let's take a look at the Euro. Back to timeline. Here she comes up down that bottom right corner. Now, notice where it is on the Euro. It's over the eastern part of Dominican Republic. And that's the more flatter land. And it won't be over there that long. And look where it goes. North of Miami. Comes up there at the Panhandle. Goes back out in the Gulf. And that's where the model run ends. So I'll have to wait till tomorrow and see if it Euro does say it's going to go back over into the Gulf. this thing could meander out there, re-strengthening, and do something nasty. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, let's go recon. This is one map that I use for the live recon. I'm only seeing one plane out here right now. Come on, give me your tracks. And this is live, by the way. Okay, this is one that came out of Florida and flew down there. So the other two are already done. The first one that went out was Gonzo, which was I think that's a G3 aircraft. And that's a high altitude. Was going to fly between 40 and 45,000 feet. Okay, that's not the DC-8. Probably this plane here. See if that's the one. Nope. That one's already went home. Okay, it's probably going to be this plane. Yep. And I don't have a clue why that's flashing. That got screwy. So, let's go back here. Now, there's been 4 missions so far altogether. I think one flew through last night. Here's flight number 2 that actually flew into it, well, over it. That should have been the Golf 3. I didn't get a chance to go over this information yet. Here's the pattern for another one that flew down there. Oh yeah, I'd love to be on a recon. I love to fly anyway. But there you can see, this is Gonzo. Gonzo was flying high altitude, but he was flying all around and just trying to find out, as you can see it zigzagging around the outer edge there. What he's trying to do is find out what the dew points are, what the moisture is. And from what I was told earlier, some of their drop zones was actually showing single digit on moisture. We're used to 50 to 70 on the dew points, and this was single digit. That's how dry their air is around it. Now I can also bring up another way. For some reason, Recons isn't showing up here on this program. Oh, there it's starting to show on it. See the blue line pop up? That's where the one flight was zigzagging through it. One came off this island right there. That's that blue line. And this was probably flight number 3. Middle America? Yeah, here in a little bit. But I can show you another way that I track recon. Let's go mission 2. Okay, this is the one that was doing zigzags. This was a high altitude flight. And all these markers here around that black line, that's where they drop the dropsondes. So I can take a look. This is the data that I got to go through for the dropsonde. That's just from one. It tells me air temperature, dew point, wind direction, and wind speed just off of this one. And it looked like for this particular dropsonde, the pressure was 1,010 millibars, but this is away from the storm. No, they drop in the ocean and they stay there. And typically, on average, there's at least 100 dropsondes drop per year for hurricane season. They'd have to pick up so many. Dew point 74, so the dew was up pretty good right there, and that was south of Barbados. So okay, that was on the outer edge of the storm. That's what that circle represents there. That was the path they took around it. Now let's go to mission 3. And there's no, oh, there it is. Okay, this mission I don't think is quite done yet. But that's the path as they're crisscrossing. They're looking for the center of it. Looking for the center. Which, you know, they're right there at Barbados, which, you know, earlier I was talking about Barbados was getting nailed by the core. And then, okay, that's mission 4. For some reason, it's not in order. Here's mission 3. Yeah, this one's still out there. And I can zoom out. You can see where he come from. Come out of Florida. So he's still out there. And let's take a look at this dropsonde here, if it'll let me. (1011 millibar). That's at sea level. 81 degrees, dew point 74. Wind direction was from the north at 9 miles per hour. Which makes sense. If the core's up here, the winds are going to circulate around. So the winds would be coming from the north here. So that's how I track the recon missions. And it's going to take me quite some time to go through all of the dropsonde data to try to figure out, you know, what they're seeing. So that's pretty much it. Now, you wanted to see what part of Middle America did you want to look at? Off satellite, turn on radar. There is one tornado warning for southeast Kansas. We're getting close to Joplin, Missouri. Going to be quite a few other things going on in the weather. For one thing, I've been in some really cool temperatures, and that's due to a low pressure system up to the north. And what that's going to do is that's going to cause a dip in the jet stream. So the jet stream is going to end up going up like this, coming down like this, and coming over here and affecting 98L slash TD6. And what that's causing is a lot of cooler temperatures here pushing south and extremely hot weather pushing north back over here. So anytime you see a dip like this, that's called a trough. Over here in the west, that's the ridge. Now, earlier in the year, our jet stream was, or in the past month or so, been kind of like that. It's just been like little waves up, way up to the north. And that was what was causing the big heat dome through most of the U.S. But now, the jet stream is taking a big dip, and it's causing some really hot weather from like western Texas and clear up into Seattle. Y'all want to see what my weather is here? I almost had to turn up my little heater last night. 68 degrees with light rain. That's for right here where I live. Yeah, I walked over to get coffee at 6 o'clock this morning, my time. And it was in the upper 50s. Yeah, yeah, right, Doc. 64 up there, Becky. You're only 2.5 hours away from me. Surprised it's only 4 degrees. Difference between you and me. Becky, by the way, is up around Toledo. Yeah, looks like Wednesday night I'm going to see like 55. I got thunderstorms coming in for tomorrow. Yeah, I almost had to fire up my little heater last night. It was just horrible. Take a look at the temperatures. Let's turn radar off. Now, all them numbers, probably hard to see. But low to mid 60s, Michigan, Ohio. Eastern part of Kentucky. Western part of Kentucky is still in the 70s. But when you get back here, I mean, good Lord. Look down here in Texas. Southern Texas, 103 degrees at Laredo. 103 degrees. It's 8:45 at night there in Laredo, and it's still 103 degrees. And, New Mexico, Arizona, California, most of Nevada, all in the 90s. Yeah, it's a Texas thing. Now, they did get pretty cool here a while back. We had the opposite thing happen. We had a ridge over here in the east, and they had the trough, in the west. So they really cooled off. There was a few days where I was hotter than Texas. You're dying here. Yeah, but you're used to that snow, Michelle. I know you've been sitting up there praying for it. Michelle SVL is our, she's one of our winter storm chasers. She's from Texas. Is that tour getting close to Joplin? Yes, it is. Let me bring up a radar up. We're out there. And let's switch over here to DR2. Let's go to Cherokee County, Kansas. Oh, that's right, Michelle. Yeah, I'm thinking of Mel. Sorry about that. Getting tired. I've only had an hour and a half sleep in the last 24. That's right. I forgot you do live down there. Yeah, it is. Okay, here's the storm that's tornado warned just west of Joplin. See which way it's moving. Okay, it's moving southeast. Take a look at velocity. Oh yeah, got real tight rotation right there. The green going towards the radar, red's going away. And this is looking at Tulsa, Oklahoma radar site. Not a strong NROT, and I don't see a debris signature. But it does have some really nice rotation. And that's on the backside. On the backside of the storm. Now, what I was seeing earlier, coming through Kansas City this morning, was a big bow echo. And I think this might be the remnants from it, of that whole complex that pushed down to the southeast. We'll switch back over to Earth. Radar on. Yeah, you can see how that's a whole line, but I think that part going through Joplin is part of that bow echo I seen this morning further up to the north. That's a pretty strong storm. It'll probably hold together, but it's going to go south of Joplin. Joplin's getting the edge of it. That area rotation, it's going to miss Joplin. Got to bring my other radar up to see how fast it's moving. And that's moving southeast at about 20 miles per hour. It's a pretty slow mover. Inch and a half hail. So I don't think I'll bother doing another broadcast at 11 because there just won't be that many people on. No, the only tornado warning is in Kansas. See, I've got part of my program here is it tells me all active warnings, so I know where the warnings are. There's severes in Oklahoma. Yeah, I don't think so, Southpaw. That's quite a drive for him. That is getting close to the Oklahoma line. It's right on the line. Be there in 4 hours. It'd be long gone by the time you got there. Southern part of that core is got 2 inch hail. That whole thing, it it's starting to get that backward C shape to it. You can kind of see it here on Earth. And it looks like most of that light rain is already past me. I'm about, I'm right there, right near Oxford. You can see my pointer. And I got this line back here that's coming right at me. And that's all part of that that's out there by Joplin. Oh yeah, that thing's got plenty of rotation in it. It's pretty tight. But it's on the back side. It's kind of weird. We back up a couple frames. See right there it was real bright. That's the tighter rotation. But right now, that's the latest scan. Not near as good looking. Let me go back here, right there. Bring us up in 3D. There you can see the purple hail core. I got to look back here on this side. Things, man, that thing's tall. It's over 50,000 feet. And we'll look at rotation. Tilted, but does have vertical rotation. Actually, a couple areas. See the green and blue real close together. Especially right there. That's one area rotation. There's another. And can't get in where I want to be on this one. Take a slice. Take a slice right through this. Yeah, that's your tilted vertical. The green's going towards, red's going away from the radar site. No debris. Yeah, it's got a lot of hail up there. Definitely over 50,000 feet. But the latest scan, now the brighter the color, the stronger the wind. It's still on the back side, but it really got weak. That's real weak. And compare that to where you can see it's not even part of the storm like it was. And the core, the hail's really dropped down. And they dropped the tornado warning. Now they have one in Oklahoma. Where's that? Oh, that's clear down here by Oklahoma City. Take a look at that one. Just north of Oklahoma City. Got a nice hook trying to form on it. And wouldn't you know it, I can't get level 2 data out of Oklahoma City. So let's switch over to GR3. This is it. You can see the inflow notch. Take a look at velocities. Oh, wow. Right there is a possible tornado. Possible. Take a look at CC. Nah, ain't on the ground. Depends on your advantage point. Let me switch here. Yeah, so far I don't have. It's just a regular Tor warning. You can see this well-defined hook right here. That's your hook. Okay. So keep that hook in mind. Now I'll look at velocity. And that's right where that tight rotation is. Okay, I finally got some level 2 data. Let me get that program over here where I can tell us straight. Right there. That's your tight rotation. Right there. Now, I'll look at normalized rotation. Definitely got a good signature. I'll look. It's got debris. See the blue surrounded by red? That's debris. That looks like it's on the ground. And that's right where the hook is. When you got a hook like this, usually your tornado is in this part. So I'll circle that. Remember that spot. And right next to it is where I see debris. Yeah, that's pretty strong debris signature. Starts about right there. Now all this other blue, that's scattering. It's not. I'm looking at this blue dot in the middle of the red. That's where it started. and then it gets bigger. They're getting a new scan here in a few seconds. Oh yeah, real strong rotation in it. There you go. That's a 3D look at a tornado. With that debris signature, I dare say, if it's not on the ground still, it was. I'd take a better slice through this. Actually, let me back it up. Right there. A little hard to tell there. Yep. See that blue square? That's debris being lofted up in the air. Not a whole lot of it, but it's something big enough to show up. Okay, it's weakened down. I mean, there's still some strong winds. I got the feeling. Take a look at reflectivity. Yeah, it's trying to go rain wrapped right there. Still got rotation. That's just the way that shows up. The debris signature does not show wind. Debris signature is actually looking for something that's not spherical, something that's not round, something that's odd shaped, and that shows up as blue. But a lot of times you'll see a lot of blue on the front edge of the storm. But that is usually either scattering. Sometimes large hail can give me a false signature. But since, like right there, is a great tornado signature. And that's right where the hook is. And that's right where the debris is. That's how I know it's debris and not this blue scattering you see at the bottom. For one, it's encircled by different colors other than blue. But where you see that at, and then when I go back, check velocity, that's where the tight rotation is. And when I check reflectivity, that's right where the hook is. So that tells me it was on the ground. Power flashes on Twitter. Yep, that's a sign it's on the ground. Now, I'm not seeing any reports on it showing up on my Earth. And it's still only a Tor, not a Tor R. Oh, so Apparently, it's not been reported as being on the ground yet, or else it would be a purple line around it, and it'd be called a TOR or a tornado reported. Oh, just looking at the time. I need to get off of here. The little store next to me is going to be closing, and I need to make a run over there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. I wish I could spend more time on this, but I got to pick something up, or I'll be doing without something until 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to run out of toilet paper. So, thanks everybody. I really appreciate you joining me. And I wish we could have more people on here. And I love you all in the chat. I wish I could get more people chatting. There's a lot more people watching than chatting. So I got to work on trying to get more people to get in there and chat a little bit. So anyway, thanks for joining me. If you like what I do and would like to keep me coming to you, if you can, donate in any way you can, bits, donation, subscriptions. I guess before I go, if you've never subscribed to Twitch Prime, from what I understand, you can do the first subscription free. I think they still got that going. It won't cost you nothing, but it helps me out. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll definitely be on between 8:30 tomorrow night. If I get more information, which they just dropped that TOR warn, but if I get more information, that's really something big tomorrow afternoon, I'll go ahead and do a broadcast during the afternoon as well. So anyway, thanks again. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night.